Yes.
Welcome to the Shoals Triple Threat podcast presented by Platinum Tier Events and Miami Ice. I'm your host, Scott Whittle, along with my co-host, Blake Prestige and David Hill. A lot of exciting basketball upcoming this week. It's playoff time, guys, do or die games. Some teams have already advanced with wins. We'll talk about some of those. We'll announce our player of the week for boys and girls. It's our week 11 players of the week. So getting down to the end here, and all these games are real important for coaches and players and the fans in our coverage area, and we're excited, guys. Welcome.
Yeah, this is an exciting week. You know, this is what players and coaches work for the entire season, so we got some exciting matchups to talk about, and, you know, this is just an exciting time of the year. And also, we got to throw in, I think, Turbo Coffee.
That's
sponsored
right.
as well.
Let's go.
Turbo Coffee. Yeah, we happy about acquiring Turbo Coffee. It's in downtown Florence, under the Gun Runner. There's 4 locations. We got one in Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, and also 38 at the beach. So maybe when we get done with these podcasts at the end of the season, we can all take a trip down there.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And enjoy ourselves. But, yeah, thank you for saying that. Really excited about that. My wife, Jarek, and I prayed about that, thought about whether it was the right thing to do, and hopefully it was. And we look forward to having the Shoals folks come to Turbo Coffee, and, you know, we couldn't be happier about it.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, man, I'm fired up.
Appreciate it. Yeah, oh, yeah.
My Lakers got Luka. I'm fired up about that.
He had to mention that.
Of course, he's got his Lakers
I got
hoodie.
my Lakers hoodie. Yeah,
I mean, he was
and
prepared.
Yeah.
He didn't even know what was said before.
Oh, no, that's all he's been
He just
thinking
said
about.
congratulations. He
That's
doesn't
all
even
he's
know.
been thinking about.
He's just thinking Luka.
Hey, I've had Turbo on my mind for a while. I've made tried to make an assist.
Can we see
weeks
if
and weeks ago?
Instead of Bitcoin on the Lakers jerseys, can we get a Turbo or a Miami Ice?
I'd love it.
I don't know what that costs, but it's
Or
probably
triple threat. Or
something.
maybe that's what needs to happen. There's a triple threat. We've got Miami Ice, Turbo. There's one thing left to buy. I don't know what that is.
Well, I'll tell you one thing we can't buy. Our producer, Jeremy Kiefer, owns Platinum Tier Events.
That
They
could be
are
the
a
third.
title sponsor. They got a better chance of being on the Lakers jersey than certainly Turbo or Miami Ice does. But, hey, are they even better with Luka and losing AD? I mean, come on. Are the Lakers better?
You got 25-year-old franchise piece that made it to the finals last year, who is, yes, I think they're going to be. Now, they may not be short term. They may not be this season, but long term, I don't know, man. But he's a top 5 player. He's a top 3 player.
Oh, he is. He's a top 3 player.
1,000%. So
I don't disagree with
they're
the top
still,
5.
I don't know. If you watch the finals and you watch the playoff run last year and you think, man, they had them to Lakers, you would be like, man, they can win the finals. Like, he's that good. I honestly feel like AD's got more love than Luka's got in some ways. Like, it's just, you get a lot of people that they do think it's a big steal of a trade, but you keep going back to like, well, I mean, are they that much better? Or can they win now? Like, they just added a top 3 player to play with LeBron James. I don't know if you watched them play last night, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, hey, the
Against
jury's
the
still
Knicks.
out on what they can do. Obviously, great for J.J. Redick and the Lakers to add the Luka Doncic to Los Angeles, and, you know, I'm sure the Mavericks fans are clamoring to get AD in there, and so that's great. We'll see. And the NBA trades are very hard. Having been around the NBA, it's the hardest trade in any professional sports to make because they have to make the dollars match.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, they need a third team to partner in a deal like the Utah Jazz did in this deal. It's just so hard to make deals happen. The trade deadline's February 6th at 3 o'clock, so we'll see if some more things happen. Maybe Jimmy Butler leaves Miami. I don't know. But let's talk a little bit about y'all want to start with boys action, and let's talk about some things that we're going to cover tonight.
Yeah.
Wilson with a big win in OT to advance in Area 14 play.
Huge win.
But now they got to play Deshler, who's at home. They won the coin toss. We covered it on the Shoals Triple Threat podcast. I always find that interesting dynamic. These guys get together. They literally flip their coins up, and odd man out, which was Brian Pounders and the Tigers, host the area winner. Josh Bryant, Central Wildcats, and Rusty Brooks Lions went to the next tiebreaker, but they owned it, having beaten the
Did you
Central
eat with
twice. I didn't eat with them. I left. I had a lot going on, but I always find that dynamic. You probably have been there in these guys as coaches.
They're brutal, man.
They are
brutal.
Because, I'm sure, it's just an awkward moment when,
whoever wins the coin flip is just relieved and they
Right.
want to jump up and down, but you can't really show any emotion. And then on the flip side of that, if you lose the coin flip,
Yeah.
if you're even a team that's not involved in the coin flip, but you're wanting the coin flip to go a certain way because of the matchup, you can't show any emotion in that setting. So it is awkward.
You know what's interesting I find in regards to that, we're going to talk about them all, but it's an area we've talked about quite a bit on the podcast. If you're Brooks Lions, Rusty Merckx, he wants to win the toss, of course.
Yeah.
But does he, when he doesn't, what's the next option? Because they lost to Deshler twice. Right. They did beat him on their home court in the Bracey Championship. But in area play, they haven't been able to beat him. So really, that's your second best option given the success they've had against Central, now beating them 3 times because they did defeat them in the county tournament. But the margin's gotten smaller each time.
It has.
Yeah, it has.
So, and it's hard to beat a team 4 times in a season.
You've been there.
I've been there.
It's hard to beat Josh Bryan at the Dome.
It is.
And so that you add that in, they're going to come in with confidence. So I find it really interesting.
A little more intriguing.
It's a must-win game because you kind of can when you win that game, if whoever wins it, it's kind of a sigh of relief because you're going to get a second game.
Yeah.
You're going to get to advance to sub-regional play. Obviously, you want to be at home, so you want to win your area, but at least winning that game guarantees you the 2. Outside of 7A, that's the landscape and the path for these teams. So I'm really excited to see what happens there. But like you said, having to beat a team 4 times, that's just tough. And in a must-win game.
So even then, you take like Wilson coming off a big double overtime win. They've already kind of broke the ice of postseason play of like, we've already played in that one do-or-die game. We've played a tight game. Let's come in here and see what we can do. And there's not a, you do feel like Deshler is a little bit better team, but there's not a big enough gap that you just feel comfortable. And, if you're Wilson, man, you just come in there and you enjoy there's no pressure on you.
And I'll say this
the biggest pressure is the pressure you put on yourself. People are thinking that's Deshler. They made the Final Four last year. They're hosting.
They're supposed to win.
They're supposed to win.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Coach Krieger and the Warriors, that's what you're hammering that home.
House money.
You come out loose and you come out fearless, as John Calipari was saying.
And with Wilson, too, I think something big with Wilson, we saw them in the county tournament play Lexington in the first round. Mm-hmm. They led the entire game, basically. Had a big lead.
Double digits in the fourth quarter.
And lost that game at the end. Last night's game against Hatton was very similar. They were up by as many as 14, I believe.
Right.
Hatton comes back and forces double overtime, but Wilson finds a way to win. So that's got to be a little bit of a confidence boost for Wilson as well going into the game. Not only did you win a do-or-die, playoff game, but, we found a way to win in the end when maybe we didn't finish the way we wanted to. So Wilson's got some momentum going in. So it's going to be 2 good games.
Yeah, and they did blow that game against the Lexington Bears, whose season ended, unfortunately. They lost to Tanner, a team they split with during regular season. You watched all their games, Coach.
Yeah.
How would you assess their season and the job that Hunter Killen did in his first year?
I thought he did a great job. Tanner's a really tough athletic team. They're tough to beat. They actually split with them. They got down as much as, I think, 15 by the end of the first quarter. And then they came back halftime. I think it was a 1-point game. In the third quarter, they went up 1. So it was a really emotional game. And that's kind of the theme you look at through all these games yesterday, even on the girls' side. The majority of them are nail biters.
Yeah.
And they are very tight. Everybody's bringing everything they got. But for my Golden Bears, very proud of Hunter and very proud of all those guys, the seniors. I hate that they were not able to get that game from Tate Gamble. I thought he played really well. Noah LeMay Brody Killen, Cam Butler. Those are 4 guys that played well and did a lot of good things. And but I thought they played really well, and I just hate they weren't able to pull off the win in such a close. I mean, it went down to the final seconds.
It was a great game.
It was.
It was a great high school basketball game. It was.
Really good environment, and both teams I didn't get to go. My boys have had the flu the past few days, so I've been playing doctor and nurse, and but we watched it on NFHS, but really proud of Hunter and really proud of Lexington.
Yeah.
And speaking of NFHS, we were able to call some games during the county tournament.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Jacob Fowler, who filled in for me and called those games. So it was good, and we hope to do more of that going forward, hopefully in the playoffs. So we want as many teams to advance as possible. But one of those teams, another double overtime win, was Sheffield.
Yeah.
They picked up a win. Did either of you watch that game or see any of it? It was a close game.
It was very close.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but big win. There's one common theme here. There's no such thing as an easy game in February. It just doesn't happen. So
setting up the South versus Pounders.
Yep.
Mars Hill versus Sheffield, and a very different Mars Hill team than what they've seen.
So, yeah.
They're still really good. Mars Hill's still really good, but they're a lot different looking without Eli, and that will be interesting to see when he might potentially be able to get back, or if he can even get back, and he will have a lot to say one way or the other of how far that team is able to advance.
Well, when you talk about their team and losing a guy like Eli Pounders, who really handles the basketball, for his size, the offense runs through him. You also lost Cannon Pig. He wasn't playing. So
Correct.
You got to kind of turn to a guy like Sam Sweat, I think. Their success is going to hinge on how he, produces, in this area tournament game for them to continue to advance. But they still have solid pieces around them, and they lost a tough game to Brooks. I thought Brooks played some of their best basketball this season in that county championship, and but certainly in their classification, I think that they can still make some noise. And maybe Eli comes back. Who knows? I've heard some things that he may or may not. I've seen guys play with a cast on their hand, but it is his dominant hand, so that makes it a little more tough.
Well, you hate it too. I mean, you hate it for the players. You hate it for the fans, the parents, the actual player that is down, the coaches. You spend all that time into it, and you want to be able to have your full group going in, and that stinks. It really does.
And a kid like Eli Pounders, we had him on early on in the season. He had done so much work in the offseason. He's always been a great player, but you really hate it because he really put the time in the offseason, and him being a senior. So we certainly hope he can come back. But if he can't, you hate it for the kid. You hate it for his teammates as well.
Yeah. They're a state champion. They were state champions last year.
Yeah.
And then you have 6'5", 6'6" Pig out, Pounders 6'5", 6'6" out. Those are just 2 huge blows where you're sitting there thinking, man, we just won a state championship. We got a chance to come back, repeat, feel like we got all the pieces we need. And, we've talked before, Mars Hill, as great as they've been, that was their first state championship last year. Yeah. And for all those pieces to kind of come in play and be able to, it takes some skill, it takes hard work, but also it takes some good fortune and luck as well to be able to be healthy, to be able to get that bounce, to be able to get that ball to rim out or that ball to go in. Like, there's a lot of things, and Coach has won 2 of them. There's a lot of things that fall in place. And again, they're not luck. But you do need to have a little bit of luck as well.
Oh, you do. You have to have some luck. You have to have bounces to go your way,
Right.
What I always like to say is, basketball's played with a round basketball, but it bounces in funny ways.
It does.
Sometimes they bounce your way and sometimes they don't. And, this time of the year, you've got to have, a run of the ball bouncing your way.
So you take like them and you take Mars Hill, and we're talking 3A here, Colbert County and Black Taylor, And now all of a sudden we're talking about a team that's coming back, has a chance to win it. And you're sitting here as Colbert County, and you're thinking like, you're hoping to have a good year, and they have, anyways. But now you're like, well, he's out. Maybe we got a chance to really, maybe the Elite Eight, Sweet 16, Final Four. Like,
Absolutely.
Those start becoming more and more real, and they got a huge game against Clements coming up, and then
Not so fast, my friend. My Rogers Pirates.
I
The
know,
last time they played Colbert County, they won that game by double digits. So
and that's again another team
yeah.
that you're sitting there. If we get hot,
they could.
when you play Mars Hill in the county tournament like they did, without their guy and Will Robertson, and I don't think there's a lot of fear there. And
Yeah.
if those two are able to meet again somehow, I can promise you there's going to be a
And on
Rick
Rogers,
Mahorn
I
and Bill
know-
LeBeer will be proud of the
Yeah.
Pirates and their
we've-
physical play.
And we've talked about Rogers some on air, and we've talked about him a lot off air. They've made a switch offensively, going to the old school four corners offense. And they're not really doing it to stall the ball. They're just
Deliberate.
they've got the personnel that fits it, and the kids have bought into it. And you got to give Coach Jay Mitchell credit. It's been a nice switch up for them, and they've been really tough to beat when they do it. But yeah, they're another team. With Eli Pounders and Marcel going down, that opens up the door for them to make a regional run, possibly if they can get by Lauderdale County, which is going to be a really fun matchup. I know we're going to talk about tonight. But they're another team that can get hot and make a run. So there's a lot of
I
excitement
think we got
for a lot
a
of teams.
Turbo Coffee Miami Ice announcement there, don't we,
we
pertaining
do.
to Rogers?
Yes, our player of the week for Week 11 on the boys' side is none other than Bo Mitchell of the Pirates, and he had a 27-point outing
Yeah.
in his last game. And
Hit his first 5 threes.
He's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's
He's a
huge.
competitor,
Yeah.
man. I love it. Just as I get the news that De'Aaron Fox was traded, and
Zach Levine or Levine?
Zach Levine.
Yeah.
Breaking news here on
Yeah.
Shoals Triple Threat podcast. But yes, congratulations, Bo Mitchell, Rogers Pirates, our Miami Ice Turbo Coffee Boys Player of the Week for Week 11.
I like having that Turbo Coffee added in
I do
there.
too.
It
I do
seems like
too.
we should have when we call people, like we're going to call Coach Robertson, by the way, who congratulations. Him
Yeah.
and his wife just had a child, so that kind of was a little more important than coming on our show,
Yeah.
But
So we are calling him?
no, we're not.
We're not. I got you.
But we could have the Turbo Coffee hotline.
There you go.
I mean,
I like it.
some people like iced coffee, so maybe not.
Turbo Coffee Shoals Triple Threat podcast. I mean, the tea's got to come in. I like it.
Okay, let's move on to Florence 7A. They're gonna.
Dude, they're rolling.
What about that area?
They're rolling.
I couldn't pick who could win. Any of those four
No, they
teams could
could
win.
The four
But they
seed
are
could
surging,
win.
though. They knock off Austin. They knock off Muscle Shoals. They hammered Central Tuscaloosa, Lawrence County. If my math is mathing, I think they're on about a 5-game win streak. Have played really good basketball. Really big win against Muscle Shoals. Crowded, packed environment in Austin. They got them pretty good, if I remember correctly. As far as getting into the tournament at where you want to be, they are playing really good basketball.
Well, we know who Coach Preston is going to pick to win that area. So,
Jalen Chandler.
I look for Jalen Chandler. He still plays for Florence, right? So
He still plays for Florence.
He
Yeah.
had some huge games.
Caden Reichert or Bob Jones, man,
It's my Lexington guy.
he might have something to say about it.
My Lexington lineage there.
But
Listen, I watched James Clemens play in the Huntsville Classic. James Clemens they're the 4 seed in that area, and they're
Yeah.
legit.
look,
Like, they're
a
good.
team that Florence beat by 30 plus,
Yeah.
and then lost the next time.
Yeah,
But look,
so-
here's the deal with all this, and it goes right into 7A. Absolutely anything can happen. I think Hazel Green in their other area over there won the coin toss. I can't remember who it was, but Buckhorn, defending state champion, who still has I know that their guy transferred out, but they still have a really good basketball team. They get beat last night. And this do or die, man, you're a bad night away from it. I want to look that up.
You are right. Anything could happen in 7A. I will say this. I don't want to
Jemison
contradict
beat
you.
them.
I don't want to contradict you.
Beat Buckhorn.
But this is way out of our coverage area. But I've seen Hoover play this year, and I'm going to go ahead and say Hoover's going to win the state championship in 7A.
I talked to Joel Floyd last night at the UNA game. His son Blake's on the Lions team. He coaches for Oak Mountain.
Uh-huh.
They're going to play Hoover. He's going to try to slow it down. He said it's the only way
he's going to try.
He's going to try.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But he said nobody's beating them. I said, Huntsville? He said, they got guys that can shoot it, but they got other dudes besides Brown.
Yes,
Right.
they do.
I mean, they all those kids have been there, from London to, all those guys are now seniors, and he just said they're just too tough.
on another level.
On a bad night, they're still double digit better than
Well, Huntsville,
the second best.
and that kind of goes to put in perspective. Huntsville has 6 college basketball commits.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's hard to believe. If
We're
you just
still
hear
feeling like
that-
the's a huge gap.
you hear that, you're like, okay, they're winning the state championship.
Yes.
And
And
it's just-
tall, long,
But I think at Hoover, you're looking at Power 5 type guys. I mean, they've got, I think, 3
They do.
Power 5
Right.
dudes. It's just
Yeah.
a different animal. They're really fun to watch.
No
If you
sub
watch-
regionals for 7A, only 32 teams in that classification. So winners and runners up automatically advance to the regional play that'll be in Wallace for the Northwest area. But yeah, I mean, that area that Florence is in, we'll pick it. So we won't go there now. But Muscle Shoals,
Yeah, they're playing well.
they
Muscle Shoals is a team that's always, it seems like they always play well this time of the
They
year.
do.
They're always making a regional run or a Birmingham run. So, yeah, they've got a big one coming up against a former Muscle Shoals Trojan himself, head coach Ben Maston in Decatur.
They're playing well. Decatur
are.
and Ben's done a really good job over there. They got a good team. They're just like I was talking about with Florence. They're kind of surging, coming in hot. So that will not be a easy game for Muscle Shoals either. And so you never know. And that yesterday was a prime example.
Yeah.
The overtime games, the final second games, it's going to be a battle, and you just never really know ultimately how your team will respond.
And speaking of you never know, moving on to girls, the Brooks Lady Lions
Huge win
got
over
their
Haddon.
second win of the season in postseason play.
double digit win.
I'm very happy
Yes.
for them. And Coach
Yes.
Copeland,
Congratulations, Coach Copeland.
They advance now. They got another game
Yeah.
against the Deshler Tigers. So
congratulations, right?
congratulations, but no, huge shout out, and I'd be remiss not to say that Will Copeland is a fantastic coach,
Yeah.
and he's got a young group of girls that are showing signs of improving. And really, when you've got a team, and I think Ben talked about it. He's been at Shoals Christian. He said he didn't win a game. Went for interviews. Coach Master at Decatur we're talking about, and he got a job, coaching at oh goodness, what is it? It's a 2A school. It's over by Colbert.
Yeah.
I'll think of it in a second. But
Same.
when he left there, he went to Danville
Right.
and coached there. But having to go in there and not winning games, it was tough to say.
Yeah.
But Will Copeland is showing his players are showing signs of improvement.
He's a
That's what
state
you wanna
champion
see.
coach.
Yeah, you want to see your
he's-
team improve. And it all came out there in a 60-49 win to advance in area play. I mean, that's big.
Well, Blake and I have this conversation a lot when we're talking, but
Addison, by the way, that
that was
where
it.
he's at.
I'm glad you remember that because I was stuck in my head too. But these teams that maybe struggle, or and a lot of times the coaches are going to be the first ones to get the blame. These guys didn't forget how to coach a ball.
Right.
Coach Copeland is a successful coach.
Right. No doubt.
I know they're not having a great year statistically or record wise, but I mean, he's still a really good coach. And in this area, representing all of our schools, we have really good coaches.
We really do.
Well, we really do. Shoals Christian's coach, they're defeated right now. He was at Fort Payne forever.
Coach Reed.
Coach Reed was at Florence forever. He didn't forget how to coach basketball. Like it happens, and but I know a lot of times that as a coach, that's what we wear. You're going to get that, and a lot of times we get too much credit, whether it's going good or whether it's going bad.
Right.
But they're good coaches, and hats off to Coach Copeland and his girls. I think it's a huge part of what if y'all remember us talking to them about the culture of what you're trying to get them to play.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they, 2? I don't know. That was their second win, correct? I don't even know what the other end of it. But they're 2 and whatever, and they're going into a do-or-die game to where, congratulations, you win, you get to play Deshler. If you're not – he talked a lot about culture and building things. It's really easy in those circumstances to say, well, we're just done.
Right.
Yeah.
Deshler, like, we've only won 1 game, like, we're just done. And not only was that far from what his girls had, man, they pull it together and go rally and get a huge win. And again, just big hats off to them and to those girls for competing like they do. And you're happy to see good things happen like that.
He can sell it. He can sell it to his team as, we're building for the future. We're playing Deshler in a game that matters in February. And
Right.
This is going to set the tone. We're laying the foundation here. We might not win this game tonight, but we're playing Deshler in February, and just the experience of them getting to do that, playing Deshler in a game that matters, a do or die game. That's big for them. And on Brooks, since they had that big win, Ariana Santiago last night had 24 points in that win, and
That sounds like another Turbo Coffee moment.
Turbo Coffee Miami Ice Girls Player of the Week. So congratulations to Miss Santiago and the Lady Lions for a big night for her, 24 points, and a huge night for the Lady Lions.
So while we're on those 2, let's go ahead and think. This is another huge – when we got to see this game, county tournament, red-blue rivalry, do or die. They have – I think Wilson won 2. Did Wilson win both of the regular season meetings?
Wilson won both regular season,
and then Central got them in the county tournament.
Yep.
So you're talking the red-blue rivalry in a do-or-die, go-home game. That one's going to be very interesting. And, we got to call their game. I was really impressed with Central. I think they're playing really, really well. I think you had that young team that you have seen kind of grow up. They present some problems.
They do.
And Wilson, has had a really great year. Probably as many wins as they've had in a long, long time. Really successful season, and Coach Oakley's done a phenomenal job with them. So going about that area, man, it's going to be a fun area to watch.
You want to talk about a fun atmosphere in the Dome tomorrow night when those 2 teams play, because they're playing to advance their area championship, and you win that game, you're guaranteed a sub-regional berth, and you're playing in a game to go to Hansville. So
huge.
There's going to be a lot on the line there against, with 2 rivalry teams, so that's going to be a fun atmosphere for sure. Your Lady Bears got a big win last night.
They did. Charlie Turner, their point guard, is out. And, that's a big loss for them, but to be able to find a way to win with her out, they're hoping to get her back after the area championship game and, be able to advance to postseason play and sub-region play. Looking like they could potentially match up with Cold Springs. If you know anything about Cold Springs, or I know you do, and I do from coaching girls basketball. Coach West does a phenomenal job there. But big year for Adam Cummings. Guided his team to the county championship. And then being able to get that big win, a chance to move to Sweet 16 play, or the opportunity they're going to look for after they get to the round of 32. But talking about him getting his team to the county championship game, Lauderdale County is rolling. I mean, they are on another level right now. I messaged him, messaged Coach Cummings actually, and I know he was frustrated after the county championship game. They go into Deshler and win by, was it 30?
It was at one point. It was a running clock. Yes.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Deshler's a really good basketball team. They have an Auburn,
at the Dome, by the way.
Yeah, it's an Auburn commit. I mean, they are just looking what we're talking about with Hoover boys.
Yeah.
They're looking at a spot where who's going to be able to knock this team off? And we got to cover their game, the county championship, cover them against Bell Hill and the Morris Hill Panthers, rolled over them as well. that is the team that could potentially knock them off. But there's a lot of work to be done.
Oh yeah,
till that happens, and some things
it's
that got to
going
be.
to take a team to beat them that plays exceptionally well. And Lauderdale County's, and we sort of talked about it when we were calling the county tournament game. How does Lauderdale County handle the pressure, the expectations of knowing that they're the favorite? But it's going to take a team playing really well to knock them off, and they're not. It's going to take them not playing as well,
Right.
Because they are playing really
They are
basketball.
It's going to be
Right now. So speaking of Mars Hill, they have they have a big showdown coming up with Phil Campbell tomorrow night for
They
the
really got Sheffield good. Sheffield girls had a great season.
Sheffield girls
Showed a lot of growth
season.
and improvement, but Phil Campbell really jumped out on them. Going back to Mars Hill, Bell Hill reached her 2,000th career point, and that was something that was celebrated. And then they had one more that reached 1,000 point.
Yeah. I want to say something about Colbert County. I saw them play. Well, first of all, I was telling David on the way over here. So, I went to the Lauderdale County game last night because they played my Rogers Pirates. But I turned on, I live 5 minutes from Lauderdale County. So I turned on NFHS. Clements is up 15-2 early in the second on Colbert County. So I'm thinking, well, Clements is going to pull this thing out. Colbert County's had a great year. I walk in the gym with 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter, and it's 44-24 Colbert County. They turned the game that quick.
Yeah.
The future is bright for Colbert County.
I think so, too.
That's a team athletically that can give Lauderdale County trouble. I'm not saying they're going to do it in the area championship game Tuesday night, but Colbert County, they're young. They start 2 8th graders. They're athletic. They're long. They're fast.
Well, you made
Coach Mike Rick's there. He gets those kids to play so hard, and the future's bright for them. So that'll be a fun one. I know they're going up against the best team in the state in 3A, but I can promise you Colbert County's going to come in and fight.
Hey, Jordan Ricks.
Yes.
We didn't have a show last week. She was our Girls Player of the Week. Shout out to Jordan for her
And that was
play.
the Turbo Coffee Miami Ice.
That was
Girls
it.
Player of the
That
Week.
was it.
Not just that Miami Ice. We're going to go ahead and merge her into the Turbo era.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also Garrett Reed for the boys for Deshler.
Yes.
Host the area, and they'll
Phenomenal
play
player.
Wilson. And, we'll talk about it when we pick it, but wanted to give Garrett Reed a shout out. He's
according to
now
Blake,
in the
he
run
was
for-
the best player
in Northwest
West
Alabama
in all the
January
schools,
and late February,
including like Covenant Christian,
Yeah.
Florence this year, like
everybody,
And listen,
the best.
the best.
at this time of the year.
He is. No, he was great.
He was.
And I mean, listen. I'm going to say this.
Listen, he was.
He was. I'm going to say this. If a player is sitting at home not playing, he can't be the best player playing at this time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So there's a chance Garrett Reed might be the best player. In
Well,
a few
I think
weeks
it's so
playing in Northwest
important,
Alabama.
even going back to the girls' part we talking about with Bell and who could knock you out of Lauderdale County, and you think of Colbert County boys, Black, and these different ones. It takes one dude or girl to really get going.
Yeah.
I can remember my first year. I had Kinsley Handback. She played volleyball at Southern Miss, but she scored 27 in the final 5 to 6 games. She averaged 27 down the stretch. And we were good that year, but when she was averaging 27, we went another level. She was still scoring throughout the year, but not at 27. All it takes, you get one kid really hooping at this time of the year.
Yeah.
That can really propel you. Garrett Reed, Birmingham, you know, Deshler breaks the wall down, gets to Birmingham first time in a long time. But same could be said for a lot of we've highlighted a lot of them all throughout the year. One of those players get going, then all of a sudden, here we go. You got an opportunity to really make some noise.
Yeah, and that's one thing I like about the way our state does it, opposed to other states, is we have these regional sites, and once you get to the regional tournament at Wallace State, Jack State, wherever you go, it's sort of like the NCAA tournament, and we don't see just a ton of upsets,
Yeah.
just like in March. But we're going to see an upset every year.
Right.
I've been a part of it on both ends. We knocked off Price for 1 year. Number one team in the state had 2 D1 players.
Mm-hmm.
We're a bunch of 9th and 10th graders, outsized, outmatched. We roll in there and upset them.
Yeah.
The very next year, we're the number one team in the state. We beat Deshler like 8 straight times. Everybody's saying there's no way Deshler can beat them. Deshler upsets us,
Right.
So there's going to be upsets.
Yeah.
So, we talked about that Marshall-Lauderdale County game. Once you get to the regional tournament, man, it's, anything can happen.
Well, and you got a girl like Belle.
Yeah.
We've seen her score 47. We've seen her score so many points. And speaking of scoring so many points, Sarah Davis, Shoals Christian Flame, huge win last night against, I think it was Athens Bible. But she is, I think, 18 points away from scoring 3,000 career points.
That's insane.
3,000 career points.
17 points shy of 3,000.
Correct.
God,
Correct.
I'm 2,317 points shy.
Yeah.
2,400 points.
Which will set up a huge showdown against Waterloo. Their girls got a big win.
Against Athens Bible.
They beat Athens Bible, and then I can't remember exactly who Shoals Christian beat
Cherokee.
it. That may have been it, but one of the reasons I didn't remember is because I read the article that said she was like 17, 18 points away from scoring 3,000 career points. You kind of forget what happens after that. You read that, and just like you said, you're kind of, it's hard to get your mind not fixated on scoring 3,000 career points.
That's
So
crazy.
hats off to her. So that kind of gets us through a lot of our girls' action and our boys' action. I think there was one more. Covenant Christian girls got a big win against Tharptown, and I think Covenant Christian boys maybe got a big win in area play, but I can't remember. But congrats to all those schools and teams. A lot of information to get through, but we kind of talked about having a shorter show this week. We said that when we had the legendary Scott Jones on.
It was our longest show.
A couple weeks ago, and it was our longest show.
Yeah.
But our plan going in tonight was to really focus in on those and then get to the pick-em points and not have anybody in to try to condense this information. But a lot of good games coming up this week that we're going to get to pick on. What do you want to start with, the boys or the girls?
Up to you, Scott.
Let's go with the girls first.
Ladies
start with the
Girls first.
So in girls, we got Mars Hill and Phil Campbell.
That's the championship game.
That is the 2A, their area championship game. I'll start. I'm going Marshall.
Go Panthers.
Go.
Bell Hill.
Enough said.
Oh, I mean Mars Hill.
Yeah. There
Take
you
Mars
go.
Hill.
Then when that gets us to Lauderdale County, Colbert County. It's hard to pick against Lauderdale County right now.
It is hard to pick against Lauderdale County, but as I said earlier, the Colbert County Lady Indians, athletically, just their speed and the effort they play with, they could give Lauderdale County some issues, but I think Lauderdale County is going to be too much. They're a team that they really look like they're on a mission. They look like they've been on a mission since after Christmas.
They do.
And I think they're going to continue on. They're not going to have any issue with Colbert County, and I think Lauderdale County wins this one.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think your goal, obviously, you would love to win, but if you're Colbert County, if you can go in and compete with them, that gives you a lot of confidence moving out of that, moving into sub-region game, because you feel like if you can compete against Lauderdale County, that you can beat a lot of teams in the state. But again, I'm going with Lauderdale County.
Yeah, me too, Lauderdale County. But Colbert County is going to play a sub-regional game. It'll be on the road with a loss in this game, but I don't know who they cross over with. But certainly a chance for both teams to advance to Wallace State, Hansville. But I got Lauderdale County. Just too much going on.
Moves us to my Lady Bears and Decatur Heritage, which is, I think, number 2 team in all of.
Are they number 2?
2A.
At one point, they were number 1.
Yeah.
Are they number 2 now? Okay.
I think that's right.
You want to go ahead and pick your
Yeah,
Lady
I'll
Bears?
go with that one. Because of Charlie Turner being out, them losing their starting
Wait a
point
minute.
guard.
Hold on. We can rewind and go back to episode, 3? You said I'll never pick against my Bears, even if they played the 90 Bulls. You said it.
I did.
You did say that.
I
So,
did.
Go ahead. Who you picking?
so you're saying Decatur Heritage is better than the 97 Bulls?
No, with all that said, I'm going with my Bears.
Oh man, a man of his word. A man of his word.
I will say, I would love to pick Lexington this game because they have potential. But with Charlie Turner being out, Decatur Heritage, I know they're really talented, and I spoke with
huge.
Decatur
They're tall,
Heritage. I spoke
strong.
with their coach a few weeks ago, and
Maybe.
they have high aspirations and expectations this year of competing for a state championship. So I think Decatur Heritage coming ready, locked in. I'm going with Decatur Heritage.
Listen, no Charlie Turner. I mean, Tina Turner. I mean, no respect for your Bears. RESPCT. I'm sorry, but Decatur Heritage rolls.
But I think they get her back, and then I think they would potentially put them going to Cold Springs. I think they have a really good opportunity to get to Hansville.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Yes. So I hope she gets healthy. Puts us to that red-blue game.
This might be the most competitive game
I agree.
that we have on the girls' side right here. This one could really go either way. David, you've been starting us off. Go ahead.
I was hoping one of y'all might go.
I'll go. I picked in the county tournament. I picked, which by the way, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I picked the perfect girls bracket in the county tournament, and I picked. This was one of my upsets.
Ooh.
Can you toot his horn?
Can you toot it for us?
Here we go.
Huh? Because he said he wasn't tooting his own.
I'm not tooting.
But Platinum Tier could
Jeremy,
could toot his horn.
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
I'm gonna go. I've tried to go with the formula. There we go.
There's the Platinum Tier horn.
There we go.
there it is.
I've tried to go with a formula in picking these games this year, and my postseason formula is going to be experience. I think Wilson has a little bit more experience. I think they're a little bit more of a veteran team. Central, Isla Hardy, we've talked about her. She's had a great year. The freshman, she's going to be a phenomenal player for them in the future. Been a great player this year. I think the experience of Wilson in this game, and that's just coming from me coaching girls for all the years. I think experience in these games always helps. I think Central might be a little bit uptight, nervous going into this one, such a big game. And Wilson may be coming off the loss last time they played Central. So I think Coach Eric Oakley and the Wilson Lady Warriors get this done. I'm picking Wilson.
Yeah, I got Wilson too. Anna Simone. I like what I've seen in her, and I think, like you said, the experience. You know, I am very impressed with the progression that Coach Murphy's done with the young Wildcats over there. Mm-hmm. But I just think Wilson wins this game. Honestly, do.
I'm predicting Josh Bryant to show up in a life vest, bringing everybody on a boat, rowing over there. And I know we're talking about girls, guys. I know. Him in the student section and Drew Murphy and the red team kicking down the door and upsetting the Wilson Lady Warriors.
Here's one thing you have to remember, though. They're doing all four. They're doing boys' games and girls' games tomorrow. So Coach Bryant's going to have a game.
Oh,
now.
I thought that was Tuesday. I thought they were doing okay.
No, I'm pretty sure they're doing all of them tomorrow.
Well, I'm still going with the prediction of Murphy and them win. I do not predict Josh to be in the student section then.
Yeah.
If they did not have a game, I would predict
They're
Josh
not
to be in the
doing it
student
tomorrow.
section.
The boys will play the following day on the 4th.
Oh,
That's
they're
what I
playing
thought.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I'm
So
sorry.
Josh,
there we go.
If you're listening
That's
out
a Bruce
there,
Pearl moment.
I would love to see you in the student section rowing the boat.
Well,
In
Bruce
that
Pearl
red
takes
blue.
his shirt off, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I expect
Or
Coach
is that
But-
Musselman? Or both?
With that
Coach
said,
Pearl takes his
Okay.
shirt off, painted up. I expect to see.
will Coach Krieger be on the other end of that in
Listen,
the
if he's
Warrior
out
student
there
section?
and he's in there and he swag surfs.
Brian Wright would have to spawn in.
Okay, I was gonna say Brian Wright. Who
Yes.
you voting for is a better swag surfer?
Brian Wright.
Okay.
Brian Wright is the Michael Jordan of flag surfing.
Josh Bryant's LeBron James, then I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
won't
But I
go
would
there.
really love to have
We
him
won't
and
go there.
Fowler kind of come in here and just kind of hash out, how much work was really done. I don't know if y'all heard that on the broadcast, the county tournament games, but I don't know. We'll move on.
That takes us to Brooks and Deshler
Oh.
in the other game, and I'm going to pick. Again, congratulations to the Brooks Lady Lions, big win.
Yeah.
I'm going Deshler in this one.
I'm going with the alma mater of Turbo Coffee's owner.
There we go.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with whoever's at home. I don't know where they're playing. Are they playing at Deshler? Or?
Yeah, they're playing at
Okay,
Deshler,
I'm going with the home team.
You would go with Brooks?
That was the most political answer I've
No,
ever
no,
heard.
the home
I've
team.
ever heard
Listen,
in my
it's a-
life right there. You
No.
know where they're playing?
I thought I did. It wasn't 100%.
He said,
Platinum tier horn being tooted there.
I mean, I got Deshler.
do we want to go? Let's go ahead and pick.
Muscle Shoals.
No, well, no,
no.
Shoals
let's go
Christian.
Well, we need to go ahead
Pick
and
the finals.
Pick
You got
the finals
Deshler
of the
and Central
4A.
for me.
Yeah,
Deshler and I got Deshler.
I got Deshler and Wilson. I'm taking Deshler.
I'm taking the home team again.
Okay.
Deshler.
Easy.
And listen, I'm pretty sure that one of those other teams could win their crossover game, even on the road. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one's going to come out. I know you got Wilson with their experience, and you took Central, but one of those teams could win. I really don't know who. I usually know this stuff. I usually pull it up and kind of know who you're going
Yeah.
to play if it shakes
Yeah.
out a certain way. But
The only thing is, if it's
Priceville.
no, Priceville's 5A, but if it's that Good Hope area,
Yeah,
that's
tough.
gonna be
tough.
tough.
They're
That's gonna
not
be tough.
as good as teams, Good Hope teams of the past,
No, but they're
still good
Still
enough to
good.
beat
Yes,
the
yeah.
likes of Central or Wilson.
Yeah,
What about Muscle Shoals in Athens?
This was a tie, coin flip, deal, and Hartzell's going to host these games, I believe.
Yeah.
But Muscle Shoals is beating them. I'll go ahead and pick, man, Mackenzie Sears.
I agree.
yeah.
I'm going with the Trojans.
Same.
I'm going Muscle Shoals pretty big. I think.
Do you
they're-
got 'em against
they're
Hartzell?
Much better.
I do. I really think
They beat them last time, correct?
they did, but I think they split.
Right.
They lost the other games, so I don't know. Hartzell's got to win their game, but they should. But I got Muscle Shoals winning that area.
I'm gonna go the same. I got Muscle Shoals winning there as well.
Same.
Yeah.
Florence James Clemens.
We'll let you pick last, okay? But before you do, I should
Well, this
point
is
out.
girls.
Oh, good, thank goodness. But it's coming. It's coming. It's
Oh,
coming.
I know it's coming.
All right,
I know
it's
it's
coming.
coming. I'll pick first. I'm taking the Lady Falcons. I think they've had a great year. I mean, they've.
They beat
Same.
Muscle Shoals
But I think Bob Jones
for the
girls
first
gives
time
them.
in several years. Blair Woods, big shout out for
Yeah.
the win the other night.
Yeah.
Avenged the loss they had earlier in the year on the road. I got Florence also in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got Florence. I think they beat James Clemens. I'm gonna agree with David, but I think Bob Jones. I mean, Bob Jones is, are really good. They're a 7A team that could. 7A girls this year. In the past it's been Hoover, Vestavia Hills. They've been on top, but it's kind of open this year.
Yeah.
Hillcrest out of Tuscaloosa is a pretty good team, but Bob Jones is a team that they could win it. So I got Bob Jones winning this area, but I got Florence beating James Clemens.
Yeah, and I got big shout out, like you said, to Coach Woods. She's done a great job.
Yes, she has.
Big game here.
Area final game, Shoals Christian versus Waterloo. How could you pick against a player who's nearing 3,000 points? So I'm going with Shoals Christian in that game to win the area championship.
Yeah, me too. My good friend Emma Wallen Ballantyne's the head coach over there, and she's got a phenomenal player in Sarah Davis, and one of our players of the week this week, and a chance to be player of the year. Given the success she's had, a lot of competition in the girls' side. When you talk about Mackenzie Sears and Shyla Marks, and of course the aforementioned Bell Hill. But big shout out to my friend Emma and the Flame. I got them winning it also.
Yeah, I do too.
Now we can move on to some guys area tournament matchups. Phew.
Man, that top one just stands out
Let's
right away.
let's start at the bottom.
Let's go.
You want to start at the bottom?
Kind of like Drake did.
Yeah.
Let's start. He's on fire tonight, isn't he?
He really is.
I'm feeling it. Go ahead and give me my
That
horn.
week off.
Toot my horn, please.
That week
he's
off,
like,
yeah.
Yes.
He's like a Nate Bargatze kind of guy. You know, he really is.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of look like him too. So
It's my guy. It's my guy.
we got Muscle Shoals in Decatur. Ben Maston's team, as you mentioned earlier, rolling. I like Coach Maston. He's a friend of mine. But Neil Barker's Trojans probably have a few more dudes to deal with.
Maybe
than
a
the
little more
Red Raiders are ready
experience,
for.
too.
You know, the experience. The Red Raiders will come in ready. He's a well prepared young coach on the rise. But I think Muscle Shoals wins the game and advances.
Yeah, I agree. Muscle Shoals, playing at Muscle Shoals, hosting their area tournament. We know they'll have a big crowd there. Student section will be rocking. As I said earlier, Neil Barker teams always play well this time of year. They seem to always be in the mix and making a run. I'm going Muscle Shoals to beat Decatur. I think they're going to play Hartselle in the area finals, and I think they're going to beat Hartselle to advance on and host a sub-region game as well.
I'm going with Muscle Shoals, but I would not be shocked if Decatur pulled an upset. This would be my put a little star beside it. I could
Wow.
see, and that's no disrespect to anybody. I just think Decatur is playing really well, confident. That could be one I could see as a potential upset.
A 1-4 upset, which
would.
happens every year, by the way.
Yeah.
You can look and see every year a 4 seed's going to upset a 1 seed in the first round of the area tournament. So
Guess
that
it's
would
to
be-
Florence, Bob Jones.
Who you got winning it? Because Athens and Hartselle are sitting on the bottom side of that. And they'll have to play the winner there.
I picked
taking
Muscle
them?
Shoals to win the Decatur game. I picked them to win the area, but I would not be completely shocked if there was a 1-4 upset. It would surprise me some, but I guess what I'm saying is it wouldn't be like Hoover getting upset.
Yeah, I'm going Muscle Shoals too. Hartselle, I do think beats Athens. I got to watch them play Brooks with R.J. Gorley and Miles Warren sitting out in the first quarter. They fell down by 10 and ended up losing by that same margin, so played them even after their 2 stars were back in. But I just think Muscle Shoals has too many dudes. They got some big athletes over there, and I got them advancing, both Muscle Shoals girls and boys, winning the area and hosting sub-regional games next
Yeah,
week.
I agree. Florence, Bob Jones. I'm going last, obviously.
You want this one, Turbo, or do you want me to do it?
I can. I mean, listen, we already know what you're going to do, but before you pick, and I'm taking the Falcons. All right, I'm riding with the Falcons. Bryant James, my man, Jalen Chandler. But you said earlier you have to be playing at this time of the year. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to quote you, in order to be playing the best in Northwest Alabama.
And you
Well, let me
agreed.
tell you,
agreed.
I agree in totality. But if Jalen Chandler walked through that door, which he's done before,
He has done that before.
he might remind you that he was playing. He was playing for Covenant Christian.
He was.
And
You're
he was
exactly right.
playing in the state championship game when Garrett Reed and his Tigers weren't. He was playing against Georgiana in a chance for a three-peat, I think.
You're
So
right.
he was playing.
And,
So,
one thing I want to say to that is
Jalen,
I was
come
not
in, man.
referencing.
Do we want to
Jalen-
go ahead and get him in?
Get
Should
him
we
back.
get him in? Come on.
I was not
Jalen, come on,
referencing
man.
Jalen Chandler when I made that comment. I wasn't referencing him.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Who were you referencing when you said you got to be playing at that time of the year to be recognized as the
Yeah.
player playing the best? And who were you referencing that wasn't?
I wasn't referencing anybody. I'm just saying that if we're going to say you were playing well in the postseason, if your team gets beat in a sub-region game versus a player whose team makes it to Birmingham, I'm going to say the kid that
Made it to
carried
Birmingham.
his team to Birmingham. Not carried his team, but led his team to Birmingham.
Yeah.
You know,
Played better
we
in the
give you a hard
postseason.
time. I don't actually disagree with you. He had Kellogg on that team, Trey Kellogg, another good player. I mean, Garrett Reed put his team on his back.
He did.
And I thought
Yeah.
he really was playing the best basketball at that time. I mean, Deshler doesn't get to that Final Four and it, without the play of Garrett Reed, for sure. So I'm letting you off the hook here on the show and telling you that I don't
But-
disagree. But who are you picking?
This
'Cause
all
you
comes
said-
into play with Caden Rickard.
Man, yeah. I love
Everything
that
we're
kid.
talking about goes all over this Florence Bob Jones game.
I really love him, but I just love the preparation. One of my favorite guests was Dylan Burleson. I mean, I'm impressed with how prepared his teams are, and I believe in them. I think they're gonna win. If it was at Bob Jones, I think they play at Austin. If I'm not mistaken, I might have to lean a little bit, a Caden's team, but I've got Florence to win this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just torn on this. I'm going to go with the Falcons, but, man, Bob Jones is good. And, again, Caden is just a phenomenal player. I'm going to go with Florence. They're surging and playing, I feel like, maybe their best ball. I feel like they played great basketball early on. And then I feel like they had a little lull there to where they didn't play as well. Not that they were playing bad, but maybe not up to the level they're at right now. And now I kind of feel like they're back on the rise up. So I'm going with Florence, but again, Bob Jones is really good. If Bob Jones beat them, that would not be one that you look in the paper or you look on your phone and you're like completely shocked, because both teams they're pretty well evenly matched. But I'll see what Coach Prestidge thinks.
Bob Jones, the team led by Bryant Starkey, who, by the way, played at Muscle Shoals.
He did.
He's done a fantastic job there.
Learned under Luther Tiggs, who we had on our inaugural show.
They had some injuries early on. They're healthy. I got to watch Bob Jones play Huntsville in the Huntsville Classic semifinal. Was it the semifinal game where they knocked off Huntsville? It was. Great game. Was very impressed with Bob Jones. I think Bob Jones, top to bottom, is the better team. I know Jalen Chandler came in here and said, I'm never picking against Florence again. I'm going to be a man and admit it. I'm going back on my word. I'm picking Bob Jones.
Jalen, get in here.
Yeah, man.
I'm picking Bob Jones. I am.
Scott, press the button. Get him in here.
If it was at Florence, I would pick Florence, but it's going to be on a neutral floor, I guess. It's at Austin.
Do you have any type of sound effect that might go with that pick?
I'm picking Bob Jones.
He said he would never do it.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Right. That's definitely not Jalen.
Gosh, Lee.
Oh, no.
I can't believe it.
And I'm also picking Bob Jones, even though I'm also picking Bob Jones to upset Austin and win this area. Remember where you heard it first. Are y'all going to go ahead and pick Florence?
I'm stunned.
Are y'all going to go ahead?
I feel like Stone Cold just gave me a stunner. I mean,
I'm
this
stunned.
is. I don't know if I can finish these picks. I'm over here just like.
I mean,
first Luca last night.
I have
and then
to go
this,
back on my word. I'm sorry.
Listen, I'm picking Florence to win it all.
The area or the state?
I said it all.
Okay, you're picking Florence.
No, if Hoover's still in 7A, I'm not picking Florence to win it all. But I got Florence going to Austin, beating Bob Jones.
Tell me this.
You just gave him so much ammunition, man, dude.
Tell me this.
You're welcome, Coach Burleson. You're welcome.
A lot of turbo given to Florence with that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That pick. But in a head-to-head, do you got Blake or Jalen? Because you know Jalen's going to be coming through that door.
If they win the
like
area,
Bill
he's definitely
Goldberg
coming in.
Man, I just can't believe you went back on your word like that, you know. But you said you manned up and just going to admit that you're doing it.
I'm going back on my word. I am. I'm taking Bob Jones.
Man, I can't. I hope we get to call the game. Yeah, for real. Well, that's not funny. But I wasn't a sandbagger today. I was awful. I was so bad today. We won't talk about that.
You were very honest when you pulled in that it was not a good golf game.
I think you talked about they were playing good. They had a little low. I think they're starting with, they're new guys playing together, I mean, you got the kid, Blackwell kid coming from Madison Academy, and then Jalen coming back. He was at Florence prior, but Bryant James wasn't there. It was only his second year. He'd come from Haleville. Yeah. So a bunch of guys who were the dudes, on their team, and now they kind of got to share the basketball, and they're kind of figuring out a way. And I just think that it's coming together at the right time.
Yeah, I agree.
And that time's now, and they're gonna go to the sub-regional.
I think we're on the same page, but
But I thought we all three were. I actually thought there was no way.
I thought Blake
he would
and
break his
Jalen
win.
were on the same page,
Yeah, I did too. I thought they had buried the hatchet like
Listen,
some other
If this
people.
was the page,
Listen.
both
Yeah.
of them were there.
I hope I'm wrong. I'm pulling for Florence.
I really-
Obviously, team from our area. I'm pulling for Florence. I'm just,
I'm just disappointed, especially as you've been burying a lot of hatchets lately. I'm glad that because I thought we were past all that, I did.
That might be the best line of the night right there.
I really did.
Hatches lately.
I did. So I'm disappointed that you got another one to bury,
I know.
Oh my goodness.
when Jalen Chandler has to be our guest,
let's
next
move
week.
on. Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's get to that Lauderdale County
Yeah, let's get a
Your
load of County
Pirates.
Rogers.
Your
Rogers Pirates game.
Your Pirates. Bo Mitchell and the Pirates.
The last time they played Lauderdale County, look, they were up 28-6 at the half, I believe. It's not going to be like that this matchup. It's the area tournament. Lauderdale County is going to be better prepared for, I think, what Rogers is doing offensively. But I'm still taking Rogers. I'm taking senior experience. Rogers has 6 seniors play. All of them play a lot of minutes for him. So I'm taking Rogers in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Lauderdale County's kind of limping in here, but they've always had a lot of postseason success, and they are used to winning at this time of the year. So I think we'll see them come in, play a really good game. But I feel like Rogers is going to be too much.
Yeah, they play well in the postseason and because of a lot of experience. But this is a team that
It's a young
doesn't have a
team.
lot of
That's right.
experience. So with that said, I've got Rogers in it. Will Robertson, he missed the county tournament with the flu, and he'll be back. Bo Mitchell, I got the Pirates.
Colbert County Clements.
I'll take Colbert County.
I'm the same. Black Taylor, Colbert County at home. Which, again, postseason basketball, nothing's going to be easy. Nothing against Clements, but I think Colbert County at home is going to be too much.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Which moves us on to 3A
The final game, we're going to pick Colbert
from
County.
Mars Hill. And that's right. That's right.
Man.
Keep forgetting about
Colbert County Rogers, I'll start it. I'm staying with it. I'm taking the Pirates.
Wow.
Could be the hottest team as far as a turnaround, in my opinion, in our coverage area.
Yeah.
I mean, Brooks is playing really well right now. Talking about, relative to their classification, obviously Florence and Muscle Shoals, those are the top 2 teams. But as far as the way they're playing right now, relative to their classification, I think Rogers could be the hottest team in our coverage area.
Yeah.
Them or Brooks. So I'm taking Rogers to win the area tournament there.
Help me out. How they fare? They lost both times they played Colbert County this year.
No,
They
they
pounded
split.
on the second
They
game.
split.
Last time Rogers beat them by
That's
20?
15. Almost 20, yeah.
They got out to that big lead early and
Yeah.
went on to win. Black Taylor, I usually go with the best player on the floor, and Black Taylor has got the most 20-point games of any player in our coverage area, and he's going to have another 20-plus point game. And I got Colbert County winning, but Rogers is going to advance still. They're going to go on the road and play a sub-regional game, but I got Colbert County winning the area.
I'm going with the Pirates. I think they're peaking at the right time. I have them over Colbert County.
Okay.
Marshall Sheffield area final. Somebody go first right here. I
I
feel
got you.
like
I think Marseille wins, but I think it's a much closer game. I would say an 8 to 10 point win, which I think in the earlier matchups it was about a 30 point win. So I think it's going to be much closer. But going with Marseille.
It's the second Jim South Bowl.
It is. It's third.
Third.
Yeah.
I got Marshall.
I'm going with Sheffield. I think Sheffield, we saw in the county tournament, we had a front row seat for it. Marseille finding their identity to playing without Eli Pounders. Sam Sweat pretty much stepping in his role. And I think the Brooks game, they sort of got exposed a little bit because in R.J. Gorley, Brooks had a guy with enough length and athleticism to match up with Sweat. So I think that's going to be key in this game. I think Sheffield is going to be able to match up with Marseille. I think it's they haven't played yet without Eli Pounders. I think that's going to be a
Huge
difference in the
difference.
game. I'm calling the upset. I think Sheffield wins this area.
Wow.
That is
Maybe
an
Eli
upset.
Pounders can do it like Wes Unsled and just come in and,
Yeah.
and play.
He
You know.
could. That would be a huge difference.
That gets us to the Final Four, boys.
Deshler and Wilson. Listen, I'm going to go first here, but I'm going to pick Deshler. But I really want to I really like to see Wilson and Coach Krieger get that 20th win. I mean, they're sitting at 19 wins,
Okay.
something that hadn't happened in forever, if ever. He has a chance to hit the 20-win mark. You know, I think I mentioned it earlier when he came on back in maybe week 2 or 3. But I just don't know if they've got enough to get it done. And it's at Deshler, and there's going to be a good crowd, and they've got Garrett Reed. But it would be a nice story. It would really be a nice story. But looking back, dropping that game that they dropped in the county tournament, that could have been the one game that holds them back from hitting that 20 mark. You know, when Coach Killen's Bears came back and won that game in advance.
Right.
You know, but I'm picking Deshler.
Yeah, you know, we talked about earlier, Wilson, you know, is going to enter this game with confidence. They got one postseason game under their belt. In that game, they had to battle some adversity. Deshler is a team, if you look at the past 2 seasons, you got to give Coach Pounder some credit. 2 years ago, they play a Westminster team that nobody gave them a chance in that game.
They had Caden Rickard on that team as well.
They almost beat that team in the Elite Eights. Last year, they make the run to the Final Four. You know, a lot of those guys, Garrett Reed is obviously back. I talked about experience being huge at this point in the season. I think that's going to be the difference in the game. It's at the Dome. I think Deshler wins the game. You know, it's obviously it's going to be a competitive game, but I think Deshler pulls it out at the end over Wilson.
Yeah, I think so as well. I've got Deshler. I picked Wilson in this game before. I think Deshler at home is just going to be too much. And again, going back to the experience they have in the postseason of really winning at a high level. Central Brooks.
Listen, this one's plagued me all year.
Yeah.
I picked Central to win the county tournament, and I took grenades all
Back
week.
in the community.
I mean, the kids on Brooks' team, man. We used to be friends, man. They told me everything. They said, "For real, man, that was cap." All these things I learned, all this talk I learned from these kids, and you know, I hate to say it, guys. They may hate me. I've just really seen this Central team improve in their games against them.
Uh-oh.
And when they did the coin flip, and I sat right by Josh Bryant for a few minutes before I left after the decision was made that they were going to play each other. Brooks was going to play Central for the 4th time.
Yeah.
He looked a little defeated. I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. But his attitude was good, and he has a belief that his team can win. And I actually share that belief. I think it's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
I think it's a game that Brooks expects to win, should probably win, but the nerves might be there, and it could be difficult. And just a little, you know, coming in with a loss, I know it was just a Hartselle in a game that really didn't matter, but they didn't perform as well. They were minus their 2 leaders for the first 8 minutes. But I just really think Central has a legit chance here. So it's kind of my asterisk that you put on one of your games. I'm going to take Brooks, but it's going to come down to the wire. I do believe, even though Brooks is playing. So the game I saw him play in that championship against Marcel was a complete game. They moved the basketball. They got big shots from a lot of guys. I mean, the play off the bench from Gunnar Johnson was phenomenal. Tyson Roberts can shoot it. I mean, he's got a quick release. And they've got just 2 dudes that, man, can't really be stopped on any given night. You know, Miles Warren struggled with foul trouble and didn't score a lot in that game that we called. Mm-hmm. But Gorley stepped up, and so did others. So just a lot of guys coming at you from a lot of directions. And I just think for that reason, I've got Brooks in a close game.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things. I agree with a lot of what you said. There's a lot of things going Central's way in this game, or that are positives for Central. The first thing I think is huge is they're playing them at the Dome which we renamed the Bryant Dome at one point this year.
Right, the Bryant Dome.
That's good for Central. We talked about earlier, it's tough to beat a team, especially a good team like Central. You know, we talked about winning 4 times. 3 times is hard enough. This will have to be the 3rd time that Brooks has beat Central this year.
4th,
you're right. They have county tournament. Thank you for correcting me. So this would have to be the 4th
and the
time.
margins got smaller.
They have gotten smaller. And Central's got a veteran team. I mean, they do. So, you know, I agree with you. I think this sets up for Central to come in. I think Central's going to have an offensive plan to attack that Brooks defense because it's their tournament. Coach Bryant's a great coach. He's always has his teams prepared for postseason play. So, having said all that, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I've got to go with Brooks to continue to take care of business. I can't pick against Brooks the way they're playing right now. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Brooks is playing at that level right now. I think Brooks wins the game, but I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I do.
Yeah, I've got Brooks winning the game and the tournament. I think.
But let me ask y'all something. If Ryan Pounders was in here, he was our first guest, first week we had the show. He can't look ahead. He's got to beat Wilson, who wants to win that 20th game. They're coming off the double overtime win, so they're kind of feeling it.
Yeah.
They've got some confidence on that floor, having won that game against Haddon. Who does Brian Pounders, if he advances with a win against Wilson, who would he rather face? Because
I think he'd rather face
Central
Brooks
twice. But he's also lost to Brooks. I mean, he's beaten him twice, but does he want to? If he had to pick, we wouldn't make him do it. But who's the better matchup, Coach? Really, like who's the better matchup for him in that game?
I think the way that they're playing right now, I think Central's the better matchup for him. Because we saw over the Christmas tournament when Brooks played Deshler, that was, Brooks had the one hiccup, I think, the last time they played Deshler, but the team we saw in the Bracey Invitational that beat Deshler, they were really controlled the game at one point. I know Deshler made the run there late. I think Central is the better matchup for Deshler. I really do.
And what about you, Coach? Because Coach Pounders is 2-3 against these two teams for the season.
Yeah.
So he's not got a winning record against these two teams combined.
Right.
Sitting at 2-3. So what do you think?
Well, I think Brooks is a better basketball team than Central. But I think matchup-wise, I think he would rather play Brooks than he would rather play Josh and Central. And I do. I just feel like they have some mojo there. I don't think, we talked about maybe you feel like Brooks is a little bit better team than Central. I don't know if they are in that scenario. I think Central, they get a very confident playing with house money group in Central playing in that dome. Why that is, I don't know. But
are you changing your pick?
No, I would. I'd be honest. If Central was playing Deshler, I think Central would upset them. But if you remember Coach Krieger being on the show early on, what he talked about was the matchups. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Central is not a good matchup with Brooks. I don't feel like it is. With Deshler, I feel like that's a favorable matchup for Central. So in the Central Brooks game, I'm going with Brooks. But I don't think Brooks and Deshler is a good matchup for Brooks.
But you said you're picking Brooks to win.
But I am. And the reason for that is one thing that we talked about in the county tournament. It's a tournament game. And every tournament Brooks has been in, they've won.
That's a great point.
And
great point.
I feel like they're really lasered in and focused in these tournament games. I feel like they're kind of reaching a different level. And I feel like they've kind of matured into that spot to where they have prepared themselves for postseason play, and they have shown throughout the whole year that in tournament play we're going to see the best Brooks Lions team that we'll see, and I think they've shown that throughout the year. So That's why it's fun to talk about. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Oh yeah. You know, I've got Brooks and Deshler playing in the final. I think one of these two teams is probably going to be in Birmingham. I really do. I think there's one team out there in the Northwest that could beat these two teams, and that's Good Hope. But you know, I'm going to root for our coverage area. So I don't think this is going to be the last time they're going to play. I think we could possibly. I think there's a very good possibility
a fifth
we
game.
see this rematch in the regional final. For the area championship game, I think Deshler at home, they're going to have the band there. I've seen that playing their girls in area finals. It's going to be a raucous environment, you know. And I'm basically making this pick off home court advantage and just, you know, the kids being familiar with the gym. I'm taking Deshler to win the area championship, but. And I'm not going to say anything more than this. I don't think this is the last time these teams play, but I got Deshler winning Wednesday night.
Yeah, to me, that's the fun part of this area. Is any way you slice it, you could make a very valid point and valid case of why somebody would, you know, if Central upsets Brooks, if Central upset Brooks, I would have them beating Deshler in the area championship game.
It's just a crazy area. We talked about it all year. It's crazy, yeah.
So I mean, there's like so many different variables and contextual things that I would feel confident picking one way. Like, you know, it's not a. So with those picks, we make the best judgment we can, and none of them are a disrespect to any team. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Y'all have to help me out with this one before I pick, and I know where I'm leaning. But in area championship play, are officials moving around? They don't have the same local officials that call throughout the year. They tend to bring guys from other areas.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Is that what will happen here?
Well, I mean, you could have 3 guys from a different association, or you could have
one guy from three different.
You could have one guy from our association.
Correct.
You know, and I'm
because
sure
both these coaches, one's a little more animated than the other, but they're both feisty.
Oh yeah,
both
they work the officials
work the officials. So, how much will those officials perhaps tolerate it? Could give us a swing of momentum for that other team. You just don't know. But my heart is in Tuscumbia, where I grew up. I went to Deshler, but my house is in Killen, and that's where the Brooks Lions are, and the Brooks Lions are going to win the area championship.
There you have it, folks.
Let me ask you this: do you think this is the last time these two teams play?
No. Now you'll have to help me. Is Fairfield coming to Wallace?
No.
Okay, then yes, I think they'll play again.
Okay,
but I think Fairfield's a little bit better.
Oh yeah,
than these guys. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, if that's who it is, then yes, I think so. I think they'll play again. Yeah. If both can win to get there, but but for now, like you said, they've won every tournament they played in, I guess. So we'll see if that streak continues. But that's it.
Well, guys, I enjoyed that one. You know, it was a good one.
Hey, Jeremy, who are you picking in the area? You got Deshler, Brooks, or Wilson or Central winning that area? You've heard us talk about it enough. I mean, you should know. Who you got?
I'm going to go. That's just tough because I watched some of those games.
Well, you got a 25% chance.
Well, that's true.
Central.
Whoa.
There we go. I like it.
Man.
There we go.
And it could, listen,
Listen, they can get fired up. I mean, I don't know.
Jeremy saw all the coaches come in. He saw how big Josh Bryan is. He's like, I'm taking Central.
That's right.
I like it. And that's going to wrap it up for our area preview and a bunch of exciting games starting tomorrow. We hope to get this out so you can listen to it beforehand and see how well we did. I got a chance to come back a few picks. I'm like 5 down to Blake. He had the perfect bracket in the county championship game. So, but exciting times, and I look forward to getting out and watching as many of them as we can, and they'll all unfold this week. And guys, any final words?
None for me. I enjoyed it.
Luca, you got anything?
Man, I'm excited about this NBA trade deadline too. We've been talking about those updates. Ryan Grubb's gone to Alabama. Our Tide's got things rolling. High school basketball at its finest this week. I mean, there's a lot of, as a sports enthusiast and not a guy that's losing sleep every night like Blake and I did for many years during this time of the year, it's a very enjoyable time to sit back and watch how it all unfolds. Got a lot of turbo heading into this time of the year.
I was going to say, if you get sleepy and sleepless nights and you need a little caffeine, I know a guy.
I will say this.
Let's go.
I did have one sleepless night county tournament week, but that was for a different reason than basketball. So that's.
But if
that's
you
a
check
good
her
one to end on
Facebook
right there.
page, everything's back.
If you know,
And I
you
was
know.
trying to be very supportive to her friend here, and
Yeah.
I checked on him a lot. I know you did too, Scott. We were
Oh yeah.
worried. We were worried teammates, and we are a team.
And I appreciate that, you guys. I'd like to say that. I appreciate
We
it.
stick together
Oh, yeah.
through thick and thin.
Technically, that was my fault. 'Cause I was checking my.
Yeah.
Testing.
I'll take the fall on that one for you.
Yeah.
Well,
I enjoyed it.
excited to see how this all pans out next Sunday night. Figuring out what
Absolutely.
the results are to what we've got left, and hopefully we can move forward and look to maybe call some of these games as we get to Wallace.
And by Sunday night, we'll have regional matchups set. So that'll be fun, too. We can talk about those. So hopefully we'll have a lot of teams in our coverage area in the regionals. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
So
Look forward to talking about that all and these games that'll unfold this week, next week on the Shoals Triple Threat podcast.